This week in Texas, politics is closing out with a freeze warning, but it kicked off with the end of college football. Good thing that political football is still being played. And with that in mind, let's get our headlines for the week from our panel. And we'll start first with Holly Hansen with the Texan News. Holly, what's your headline for the week?
Well, the cold may be coming, but the heat is on for Texas primaries, parental choice, and Paxton.
Business analyst Annie Spillman, what's your headline for the week?
Texas is U-Haul's top growth state for the third consecutive year.
And political analyst Mark Wiggins. Mark, what's your headline for the week?
Winter is coming, but will the Texas grid be ready?
Now, Governor Greg Abbott kicked off the week by announcing that he will use a big campaign donation haul-in to target fellow Republicans who did not support his big dollar private school scholarship school choice idea. Mark, you crunched some of those numbers. What caught your eye?
What I think is noteworthy is that the majority of that money you're going to find came from a handful of major donors and lobby groups while the special sessions were actively underway.
Polls show that supporters of school choice are surging, even amongst minority communities. And this is going to be a key issue going into some of the primary races.
I'll tell you that the business community will involve themselves in those races. And if those people had good voting records when it came to business issues, then those business and industry lobby will likely endorse in those races. And I will say that the Governor Abbott has never been one of those politicians that would punish a business and industry group for endorsing in a race that he might not be endorsing in or, endorsing against.
The border crisis remains a hot topic and in the news. An interesting sidebar story was reported by the Texan News, Holly Hansen, matter of fact. It involves a fight over the county judge in Harris County wanting to include illegal immigrants in their new guaranteed income program. Holly, that's your story. What's your readers reacting? How are they reacting?
Well, the readers are already a little bit concerned about this idea of universal basic income, giving a $500 a month stipend to some individuals with no strings attached. And there is a federal prohibition against giving these federal dollars to those who are in the country illegally. What they may be trying to do, though, is circumvent that rule by letting a nonprofit organization, incidentally, the same one that operates the Cook County, Illinois program in Chicago, because those nonprofit organizations are not required to ask about resident status when giving out benefits.
Yeah, the conflict isn't just with city and county, it's city, county, state. Latest development happening just down in the Eagle Pass area, new twist. Thursday, we learned that the state of Texas seized some parkland in Eagle Pass. Annie, this is land that sparked a controversy last year between the state and the city over trespassing and arresting migrants at Cross.
I think what we'll see probably likely is another suit from the federal government, and likely even legal aid attorneys coming in. I'd be interested to see the way this plays out.
A Texas nationalist group this week asked the state Supreme Court to make the Republican Party of Texas to ask voters if the Lone Star State should go it alone again. GOP Chairman Matt Rinaldi called the push for a non-binding Texic idea, a move that could open the door for Democrats who want electronic voter registration and mail-in ballots, looser restrictions on that. Mark, it seems Rinaldi has only himself to blame for all this, with all this extreme position swirling around the Texas GOP. What's your assessment?
Well, he does raise an interesting technical point about that lawsuit, but I do think you're right, Rudy. Texas, though, is part of the state party platform, which is something that the Republican Party of Eisenhower and Reagan would find incomprehensible. But, this is the kind of stuff that the state party is focused on right now instead of supporting incumbents and growing its base. And that does start at the top.
State Supreme Court is getting a workout like the Alabama defensive unit during the playoffs, being asked to step up again. Attorney General Ken Paxton trying to block an order to have him deposed in the whistleblower lawsuit against him. Holly, have you seen any indication that this fight is going to factor into any of the GOP primaries?
Oh, I think it is going to factor. Look, this may exonerate the Attorney General, or it may prove that he's culpable here.
The polls also say that crime and safety are big issues for the voters. Here in the Austin area on our hike and bike trail, we had an attack involving a man with a machete, raising questions about safety in our big cities, rebooting the debate over police funding and mental health funding. Annie, is crime and safety the big issue for the business industry?
It's huge. I mean, you've heard more and more and more that retail theft has become a major issue, especially for small businesses.
And I think that draws a lot of bipartisan concern about what we're doing as far as criminal justice goes in this country.
You know, there is going to be a downside consequence for progressive candidates on the ballot as a result of that.
And let's wrap things up with our final word for the day. And Mark, we'll start with you. What's your final word?
Blustery.
Choices.
Windbreaker.
And that is This Week in Texas Politics.